Okay. Yeah, if you want to go through it and call the meeting to order. That time, yeah, and then what I'll do is I'll make a certain comment. And you can refer to
Okay, folks, at this time, I will now call this meeting to order. Okay. I'll ask the board before you have the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? No. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor of the agenda you see in front of you, raise your right hand. All opposed likewise, the agenda is approved. At this time, I want to turn the meeting over to our attorney, Mr. Donny Laws.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening. We're here tonight to conduct a public hearing on an installment financing agreement that the county is considering for the purposes of obtaining funding for the school construction project that's been debated with the county for the past probably 12 months. Before I get into the specifics, let me address the public hearing, the procedure for that. Madison County has a policy regarding conduct of public hearings. What we will do is once the public hearing is open, we will allow anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard regarding the public hearing to come up and address the commission. Generally, there's folks that are for and against whatever the project is. Each person who wants to speak, you can come up. You will be allotted 5 minutes to comment on the financing agreement. Each side will be allotted a total of 30 minutes or a total public hearing of 1 hour. If you want to defer your time to one other person to speak using more than the 5-minute limit, you can come up and simply state your name and defer your time to someone else. What we're here tonight to do is to consider a proposal from BB&T, which is a lending company, to make a loan to the county for $6.5 million for the purposes of financing the school building project. Now, when I talk about the school building project, what that encompasses is really a construction project at 5 public schools in Madison County. The largest project is the construction of the early college at Madison High School. The next project is the construction of extra classrooms at Brush Creek. And then there are 4 other projects, one at Mars Hill Elementary, one at Hot Springs Elementary, one at Madison Middle, and one at Madison High School, with a total being $6.5 million. The Board of Education and the Board of Commissioners have worked on the project of those 6 schools and come up with the estimated cost. Now, general statutes in North Carolina, particularly 160A-20, allows the county to enter into an installment finance agreement. In other words, it's a loan. Okay, most of you who own houses have gone to the bank to get a loan. You know how that works. You make an application for it, maybe a 15-year loan, maybe a 30-year loan, but you will make payments back on that loan, and you will give collateral. The same thing works for the county. This is just, instead of a house, it's 6 schools. Instead of, say, $100,000, this happens to be a real big house, $6.5 million. Now, the county cannot borrow money on its own. It simply can't say, hey, sounds good to me, we'll sign this agreement with the bank. The local government commission, which sits down in Raleigh, looks over county's finances. They want to make sure that the county is in good financial standing, has the money to pay back the loan, and then they review the terms of the loan, and they have to say this is okay before the county can borrow the money. And one of the requirements that the local government commission has is that there has to be a public hearing. You folks are entitled to come in and comment and tell your commissioners, hey, we like this loan, we don't like this loan, we don't want you to do it, we do want you to do it. Now, this is not a public hearing on whether the school's done the right thing with these different projects. This is a public hearing as to whether the county should enter into the loan agreement. Now, the county has a package in front of it right now, and it consists of the loan package, which is essentially your promissory note, your promise to pay back the money. A deed of trust, which is a document that provides security for the loan. In other words, your collateral. With a house loan, you're going to be putting up your property or the house as collateral for the loan. And there's an additional document involved here. Since the school owns the property, the school will be deeding Brushy Creek Elementary to the county. The county will be putting that side up as collateral for the loan, and then we will be entering into a lease agreement back with the school system for the school system to continue to operate the school, own the school. We're simply using it as collateral for the loan. Those are the 3 documents that the commissioners have a package of. So of particular importance are the terms of the loan, which we need to have the public comment on. So we're talking about a $6.5 million loan. That loan will be, the terms of the loan, it's a 15-year loan. So it'll be paid back in annual payments over a 15-year period. The first payment will be a year from the actual closing of the loan, which we anticipate after we complete this project, this process, to be sometime early to mid-February. The payment terms will be 15 annual payments of $433,333.33. Okay? We negotiated with BB&T. Now, BB&T got involved in this because before we could make the loan, we had to send out notices to all lenders asking for their interest in bidding on this project. The only bid that we got in from any lender that was interested in doing this was BB&T. BB&T had an option of charging an interest rate on this. And with this being qualified schools construction bonds, under the terms of those kind of bonds, the federal government sometimes will reimburse the county for any interest. And I don't know if you've heard of sequestration, but sometimes that interest rate would be subject to sequestration terms. We don't have to worry about any of that. The bid that we got back from BB&T was an interest-free debt. So this will be an interest-free loan. The payments of $433, $333 is principal only, okay? Wish y'all could get some house loans. It's not happening. Now, it's interesting, the school is going to be managing the construction project, but the county is borrowing the money. So the lease agreement that we're going to have with the county has specific terms as to what the obligations of the school board is and what the obligations of the county is. County's obligation is to pay the money back, okay? We anticipate the money being paid back through 4042 monies, which are sales tax monies that the county receives for the benefit of the school board. And those monies have been coming in regularly on an annual basis of about twice the amount of these payments here. So the local government commission has looked at that, and they have found that if we want to enter into this, at least so far, the county is of good financial standing and they can pay the money back. So commissioners, what I would want you to look at is in your package, there is a proposed resolution, and the resolution has references essentially to what I have talked about here in the preamble to it. And then after you hear public comment, if you are inclined to consider the resolution, then it resolves to authorize the county manager, the chairman, and myself and your finance officer to proceed with closing the loan consistent with the documents that you have in front of you. And those documents are the installment financing contract, the deed of trust, the project fund agreement, and a lease agreement. I believe all of you have those documents. So at this time, what I would do would be to open the public hearing portion of this meeting. And anyone who wants to make a comment, I would ask you to come here, address the commissioners, address the audience. First, state your name, and then state your address, because all of that information has to appear in the minutes of this meeting that is sent to the local government commission. Mr. Gilliam, I'd ask you to be the timekeeper, if you would, please. Okay? So anyone interested in commenting, we'll do one at a time. Have a gentleman in the back. You'll need to come up here, sir, and address the folks from the podium.
Good evening. My name is Stephen McConnell. I live in Marshall, next to the clinic. My question is, you said the money is being paid back by money that we get from the state to the school board for their operations. Is that dependent on the number of students going into the early college program, or is it on the number of students of Madison County in general, or how did, if that doesn't work out, if the money that we're supposed to be getting back from the state does not come up to that, what are the alternatives to pay back this loan? That's my question.
I'll turn that over to our attorney.
This is not a question, it's a public comment for you to comment.
Okay. can I rephrase it then? My comment would be that there's a uneasiness in my mind about myself as a taxpayer to be obligated to come up with $6.5 million over 15 years if the state government continues with the slashing of the monies coming to the county school boards.
Next speaker.
Good afternoon. My name is James Nichols. I live on 1726 Walker Branch Road, Mars Hill. My initial feeling for this is that we should definitely go forward with educational opportunities for Mars Hill and Madison County. To allude to the comment that was just made, for clarification, this money is going to be paid back with sales tax, the 4042 monies. Is that a correct statement? Are you allowed to answer that?
That's what, that is the payback that we are anticipate paying them.
Okay. And currently we have twice the amount that is coming to us than what we need to pay. So that's where currently the money would be coming from. So my only question would be, maybe for another time, would be this money, what is it currently being used for? And can we allocate that money for this? And if the answer is yes for that, then we have the allocation funds for that, then it sounds like a great idea. Thank you very much.
Raise your hand. Good. We got a lot of people here that can use some.
I'm Jean Hoffman. I live in Mars Hill, and I'm in the real estate business. I also substitute teach. And I just want to say that if I could get this kind of deal on a real estate venture, it is a sweetheart. I'd be snapping it up just like that. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for our county. And I am just really, really pleased to hear the kind of opportunity we have here financially to fund this, because I know I've been to a lot of these meetings. We talked about a lot of the funding, and we talked about our debt that was recently paid off, I think, on the Mars Hill School. So we're debt free from that perspective. And I can't see any better deal than we could possibly get.
Next. Dr. Wilcox.
Thank you, and it's certainly good to see everyone here this evening as we discuss what I consider to be a historical event in Madison County. 6 years ago, the county commission agreed to establish an early college, and it was established here with portable classrooms. We moved from here to the current location in Mars Hill, up there in the 1951 building. The student body has grown for the early college. We now have 226 students. We've outgrown that facility. It appears that the enrollment is going to increase at the early college, and therefore we need a new building. We've discussed all the components of the building program before, and I would reiterate that every school is going to get something from this building program. And as Ms. Hoffman alluded to, we've had, since I've been here, 3 new schools built. We've renovated several others, but this is the first time we've ever had the opportunity to use qualified school construction bonds, which has the potential. Donny has corrected me a time or two. He said it may not be totally interest-free, but it'll be so close to being interest-free, you would think that it's interest-free. We just paid off the Mars Hill indebtedness, $4 million, and we paid $1.7 million in interest on that payback. Now, we had the Brush Creek School that we built, paid interest on it. We had the Laurel School we built, and we paid interest on it. I anticipate that the savings we would have in interest alone would be over $2 million on this indebtedness. So it's just a good deal. Not only is it a good deal, it's something that's needed for the students that we serve. We need the new early college. We need the expansion at Brush Creek Elementary. We need all the improvements that the Board of Education has identified for these other schools. We've met with the County Commission on numerous occasions. The Board of Education has put a lot of time into this project. The County Commission's put a lot of time in. And we've hammered things out, and we feel that we have a good building program here that will benefit the students that we serve. So for the reasons I've just said, and the fact that we're not going to break the bank, we received somewhere between 750 to almost $1 million in years past of 42 taxes every year. That comes to the County Commission. A lot of you who attend County Commission meetings will remember that I've come down often and asked for some of these funds for certain aspects of improvement throughout the school system. And they've been able to help us with that. And that's why we've been able to improve our school facilities. Well, if we're only using half of that, if we were to have an emergency, or if we were to have another need 5 years down the road, 6 years down the road, there's still enough money in there that we can come back and request funds for those projects. And then in addition, we receive $158,000 each year in lottery. So you see, we have capital outlay opportunities if we need them for the school system. So what I'm saying this evening is we have a real excellent opportunity to do something here that's going to tremendously impact the students we serve in Madison County. I would hope that we'll be able to get this approved this evening.
Have anybody else that would like to speak at public comment?
Good evening, I'm Pete Orthman, for those who don't know. Dr. Wilcox reminds me of an old girlfriend of mine. Anytime she saw something on sale, she just had to buy it. Think of all the money I'm going to save. And I used to say, think of all the money that you're actually spending. This is a dangerous time for expenditures of this size. It doesn't appear so, but the economy is very fragile right now. Watch the stock market. It's lost 2,000 points in the last 3 weeks. Worst of all, there is a number that everybody should go home and look. It's called, oh boy, I feel like the governor of Texas. The Baltic Dry Index. That is all the dry materials that will be on a ship moving from one place to another. It indicates manufacturing. It has never been so low in the history of it. It was at 2,400. It is below 300 today. We could be this close to 1929 all over again. I pray not. But what if that does happen? Then what Dr. Wilcox is saying is all the money that we're saving suddenly becomes all the money that we owe. Tread carefully here. I ask you, please, tread carefully here, because you could be putting a very big burden on the future of the taxpayers of Madison County. Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to speak in public?
Good evening, I'm Genevieve Berta, live in Mars Hill, lived in the county about 35 years. And I don't think we should dig a hole in the sand and worry about the end of the world. Let's get ourselves educated so that we can deal with the end of the world. And we need decent facilities to get ourselves educated. I've been involved in public school affairs for a number of years. I was a trustee at Western Carolina University. We didn't dig our head, bury ourselves in the sand. We tried to keep going, make better facilities, produce better students. This early college especially is just so near and dear in my heart, giving these kids a chance to get a good head start on their education without digging a huge debt. So I urge you with all my heart to move ahead with this. And I'm a taxpayer, and for my own part, I would be willing to pay more taxes. I can, most people can't, but I would be. So please, please go ahead with it.
Next.
Hello, I'm James Goodman, and I live in Marshall. Know that I am biased coming from the early college, but this money is going for more than the early college, and I agree with the last comment. We shouldn't dig our heads into the sand and worry. And if there is something bad in the future, now is the time to repair and get ready for it. So I believe that we should repair our schools and build a better facility and be ready for what comes.
Anybody else?
My name is Leslie Shoof, and I live currently in right outside Weaverville, but I'm a Hot Springs native. I'm a Madison County Schools product. I went to Hot Springs School Elementary, and there wasn't even a middle school when I was around, and I was a graduate from Madison High School. I have taught in Madison County schools for 18 years. I've taught at the early college for the last 6, and I just want to talk about our students, because this is what this is for. And our students are some of the most awesome, amazing kids anywhere in North Carolina. And I say that with no reservations whatsoever. They are some of the brightest, most creative, artistic, energetic, willing to learn, ready to work. They just need the opportunity to do so and the facilities to do it in. I mean, we have a chemistry teacher who's trying to teach chemistry in a trailer with carpet. If you've ever done any chemistry experiments with carpet, they don't work so well. And that's just one example. Randy, who just talked, is a great example of the kind of kid we have at the early college. And I just want him and everybody like him to have the opportunity to be successful and represent this county on the state level and national level. Who knows what they could do? So I ask you to release this money for all the students in Madison County, not just the early college. Thanks.
Mr. McMahon, my assistant, just reminded me that I sound a little bit like a Baptist preacher. An altar call saying, just come on down. I guess it's sort of getting late for service.
I never viewed you that way.
I'll keep anyone else.
As soon as you ask for the money, we'll leave.
Anyone else who would like to speak? We'll close the public comment period of the public hearing of this meeting. Mr. Chairman.
Okay. At this time, the public hearing is closed.
And there were some concerns that were raised in the public comment section. If you want to, we can talk about those concerns regarding the 4042 monies. I think Mr. Gilliam is quite educated in how those monies are paid and what's been the county's allocation over the years and whether the continuance of that coming into the county, how that is determined. I believe some of those monies have been used to retire a debt at Mars Hill Elementary that Mr. Wilcox referenced, and so that frees up the full amount of the payment to be paid toward this. So if you want to discuss any of those concerns, I think the first gentleman that spoke raised some concerns about where the money was coming from and the continuation of those payments and how the county expects to retire this indebtedness. So if you want to discuss that and then consider the resolution, I think we're at that point.
Okay.
And I'm here to answer any questions you might have regarding those documents.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to our county manager for us, and if you'll address the comments.
Sure, just the question from Mr. McConnell about whether this is tied to enrollment. The answer is these funds are not. This is sales tax revenue that is tied directly to how much is sold in Madison County that's taxed and throughout the state. We receive money that's collected statewide and then distributed to all the counties, and then we also receive some money that comes just from what is taxed within Madison County. And then a portion of that is set aside from Article 40 of the sales tax and Article 42. A portion is set aside for school construction or equipment. So it's not tied to enrollment. It's directly tied to really how much revenue is coming in and what the economic activity is on those taxable items. We have averaged $828,000 over the last 10 or so years coming in from that. As Mr. Laws referred to, we had a debt at the Mars Hill School and some other projects that have just been paid off. And then the Board of Education has come with multiple projects at different times, large and small, usually pretty small compared to this, but to do different things that they need to do. So there is money there now, and the commissioners have expressed a desire early on to keep at least 2 payments in reserve. And based on our assessment, we can't predict the future of the economy, but based on how things have been going and how they've gone for the last 10 years, which included good and bad times, there should be enough to keep those payments in reserve and really have a cushion, a pretty good cushion, to do some other projects that come up. The money has to be spent on school construction or equipment. It cannot be used on classroom teachers, can't be used on textbooks, can't be used on those sorts of things that I know that the school board would also like to, needs money for it, but it is restricted for school construction. What was the other question? I answered both.
Yeah, you answered. I think did he answer your question, Mr. Gore? Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, did he answer your concern?
I think you addressed Mr. McConnell and maybe Mr.
There was
Nichols.
another gentleman that he was referring to.
Okay. Well, you touched on the point of the terms and the money that Pete was talking about.
Yeah, I think, generally I can't, none of us can predict. Basically, those are some good observations on what the economy might do. I can't, I certainly can't answer any more about that. It's unknown. But this is, whatever revenue we get is tied to how much purchasing is going on in North Carolina and in Madison County, and that goes up and down based on consumer spending. So, and we're, worst case scenario, if 4042 funds were to go away, the other, it's at the hands of the legislature, which can choose to spend those funds elsewhere. They can choose to cut the sales tax, which would cut the revenue. They can choose to use that money at the state level or allocate it more to other counties. They haven't done that with this money in nearly 30 years, but they could go and do it. It is unlikely because every county would lose when they did that. So I just realistically, that would be unlikely, but it's possible that they could do it. But there's no way to predict what this legislature or future legislatures would do.
Thank you, Forrest. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Thank you for your comments. This has been an ongoing study with both Board of Education and the commissioners. We've had work sessions, we've had meetings, discussions, and they've brought us information we've asked for. We've had a lot of questions. They've answered them. I want to thank the school board for their input towards us as the Board of Commissioners for giving us the information we need to move forward and to provide us with everything that we've asked. There's been a lot of questions, concerns. We've had, highs and lows with this, depending on, different scenarios. And at this time, I'm going to read this part of the resolution. Resolution approving a proposal from Branch Banking and Trust Company to provide financing through an installment financing contract in the amount of $6,500,000 to finance the construction, renovation, and installation of capital improvements at 6 public schools in the county, and authorizing the execution and delivery of related instruments in determining other matters in connection therewithin. Any questions from the board or comments on this?
Before we vote, I would like to also thank the Board of Education. We went through a very deliberate process trying to determine where to put the early college. We looked at the central office. We looked at the high school. We looked at the expansion of the current facility. We looked at the Old Rock building. We even had a committee that was appointed that we seem to settle on the location we have now. So a lot of thought has gone into this. I think there was so much thought that went into it and so many questions that were asked by me and other commissioners that some people in the community felt that we were automatically against it. You can't ask questions. Well, I have to ask questions in order to figure out what I think the answer needs to be. And I'm a product of the Madison County school system. Also, 11 years at Laurel, 1 year at Madison High, and 4 years at Mars Hill. I call it college, John Mars Hill University. This $6.5 million will benefit all the schools of the county. Therefore, it will benefit all of the students in Madison County, which makes me very happy. It allows these students, the early college allows these students to get an early start on their post-high school education, which is outstanding. I just wish there would have been something like this when I was around in 1975. It also gives them an opportunity to get an education without maybe having a lot of debt, and that's wonderful. The classrooms at Brush Creek are very much needed, and I look forward to seeing those come out of the ground. School system has no debt at present. $433,000, that sounds like a lot of money. That is a lot of money. We all know that's a lot of money. We had asked the Board of Education early on, we being the commissioners, if they would be agreeable to put 2 years of payments back, which they agreed to readily. And the net effect of that makes this a 13-year loan. So I think that's also a positive. Until this loan is paid out, I would encourage the Board of Education to be extremely careful if we're going to seek other financing. Just the conservative side of me makes that statement. And personally, I think the sooner we can get this paid off, the better off it will be for all of us. I know it's an interest-free loan, but sooner it's gone, the better. We all hear a lot about our children are our future. I've heard that all my life. But without a good education, I really don't know where I would be tonight. I really don't know where my wife would be tonight. I really don't know where my 2 children would be tonight. So the education is the way out. I saw that a long time ago. I saw my parents go to plants and work. We farmed. We tried to scratch out a living any way possible. And I knew my only ticket out of that was a better education. And I was fortunate that they allowed me to get that. I just wish we had more money in the county to give to the school system. I know there's folks who feel that the commissioners don't give enough. If you look at our budget, you'll see that we try to give as much as we can. I just wish we had more money to give. So I will be voting in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment?
Tonight represents a major milestone for this county. We did not get here easily, but this is part of a process. And we have all been very deliberate. I reiterate what Clayton has said about the wonderful cooperation with the Board of Education, with the educational community, and many others who see the value in investing in our future. We've taken the time to do this right. We have gotten the best possible financial arrangements that can be made. We are building new buildings and renovating old buildings to state of the art. We are not building something that we will regret. These buildings and these building renovations are as good as can be done. And when we build public buildings in this county, whether they are schools or others, we do not want to accept second-class facilities. Our students and the community deserve first-class facilities for first-class people. And I too will support this. I'm very proud of all the efforts of an awful lot of people who have gone into this. So I am very happy to support this.
Well, I'd just like to say, I kind of came to the dance a little bit late, and I think most everybody in the room is familiar with the circumstances of how I arrived here to this. But I would like to say, Ms. Berta, we're glad to take any donations you'd like to make at any time. So, that being said, I too agree with a lot of what what Norris has said, and we've got an interesting opportunity here because of the financing situation. Because I came to the dance late, one of the things I did was try to immerse myself into this situation to get up to speed. I went to the early college, toured the early college, and spoke with most of the teachers there. Spoke with the principal at Marshall Elementary, toured that facility as well, and spent a lot of time with Dr. Wilcox trying to get up to speed as to what was really needed and what maybe wasn't really needed. I think, in my personal opinion, this is a worthwhile project, and all joking aside, we would be willing to take any donations, but the early college, the thing I think that impressed me the most was having the opportunity to meet with the teachers and a lot of the students at the early college. And folks, with the other thing, and it's not been mentioned tonight, and I'm kind of surprised it hasn't been, maybe because it's basically public knowledge to most people, but our early college is one of the highest ranked schools in the entire state. And they're doing it. And quite frankly, they're doing it in substandard facilities. They're overcrowded, and from the minute I walked in the door there, everyone had a great attitude about it. The kids were obviously willing to learn. I wish I had an opportunity to have gone through that when I was a student their age. It's a worthwhile program. It's a great asset for a county like Madison County, which isn't blessed with all the riches that some of our surrounding counties have been blessed with. So I think it's a very worthwhile program. So I'm in support of what's going on here. But we do need farmers. We need a lot of farmers.
We have programs for that at school too.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, we do. Okay. Any other comment from the board? No? Okay. As you heard, I read the resolution. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution for the continuing of the funds for this project?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, likewise. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved. Do I hear a second?
No.
Second.
Sorry. Say no. May I address?
Yeah. 3 minutes.
Oh, I won't take 3 minutes.
That includes walking to the microphone.
I'm Teresa Banks, and I'd like to say thank you. I was going to comment earlier. Everyone kind of stole everything I wanted to say, but I'm here tonight not just representing the Board of Education, but representing every student in Madison County Schools, representing my grandchildren and their grandchildren. And I too am a product of Madison County Schools, having, like Clayton, spent 11 years at Marshall, a year at the high school, and then at Marshall College, and had the extraordinary privilege to come back to the county and spend my 31 years hopefully doing something good for the students of this county. There's no better place to be than Madison County. And I am here tonight not just thanking you for all your hard work, because we've had some long meetings, but not just thanking them from the Board of Education, but thanking the commissioners for the students. And Mr. Laws, I appreciate all the information that he's provided us, and we have outstanding teachers, and more importantly, we have outstanding students who are willing to learn. And if you notice, Madison County folks have that grit. They have the fire in the belly. They want to learn. And they will learn. Give them the right circumstances, they will. And we want to provide them with every opportunity we can. So I humbly say thank you for all the students, from all the students in the county. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a motion. Can I have a second? All in favor of adjourn, raise your right hand. All opposed, we are adjourned.
Good job, Chairman.
That was good.
Good job.